So, Mayor Catherine Pugh, I'm really excited to be joined by my colleagues here. And let me just tell you, we've been talking about this, I guess, since the holiday, when we all came together to talk about some of the things that we want to work on together. And so minimum wage was at the top of our list. So I'm joined by my colleagues in Anne Arundel County, Executive Stuart Pittman, Baltimore County, Johnny O. Howard County Executive Calvin Ball is not present, but is supportive, has sent a statement that is included in our overall statement. Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich is here, and Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsabrook, who sat and was with us when we said we wanted to do this, is not present, but also has sent a statement. You know, I'm just really excited to be joined by my colleagues in support of the Maryland General Assembly's legislation, and that is to raise, I'm sorry. Jones is here from SEIU. And let me just say, just an important part of this, I know ASCME is out there represented, CASA is also here. These are organizations that have been in support of the $15 per hour minimum wage. This issue I've championed since I was in the Senate of Maryland as the majority leader. In 2014, we moved the minimum wage, and every year it went up through 2018. The importance of this year is that the minimum wage does not increase this year. We put in a 4-year movement of the minimum wage, and what we're looking at now and is supporting is that we continue to fight for hardworking residents who need a salary that keeps pace with the cost of living. And in some cases, we don't even feel like that gets us there. But we know that this increase will make a difference. You will see the minimum wage, if this bill passes, it will go up each year $1. It will go up to $11 in 2019, and then $1 each year up until 2023, when we will reach $15 an hour. Again, there is nothing more important, we think, than improving poverty in our cities, in our counties, and we are grateful for the organizations that continue this fight, because we realize how important it is. Lifting the citizens of our city and our counties is important for all of us, and that is why we think that working together really does work. And more importantly, we've said that this is something that should be done, and this is a way of doing it where there are no holes in the donut. All of us throughout these various counties are in support of. We're linked to each other, we're part of each other, we're working together. We see ourselves not just as a region, but as a state. And so again, I thank you all for being here, and we'll take questions, but now I'll call on my colleague from Anne Arundel County, or, oh, I'm going to Johnny O. It's just that I see him so much. You know, we were just together last night, Johnny O, County Executive for Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is great to be here with the mayor, my other executive colleagues, County Executive Pittman and Elrich, Ricara, Jones from SEIU, all of our friends in labor. I see Glenn Middleton out there. I see legislative leaders like Delegate Glenn joining us. Thank you all for being here. And we're all here because we know that every single person who goes to work deserves to come home at the end of the day with a sense of accomplishment and a decent wage in their pocket. But for far too many Marylanders, they are still living paycheck to paycheck. And in the process, we force them to make agonizing decisions, whether to buy a tank of gas or a decent dinner, to put food on their table for their family. When emergencies happen, as we know they do, these same individuals face economic disaster. And we all believe that our policies and our laws should protect that dignity of work. That's why, like the mayor, when I was in the legislature, I voted to raise the minimum wage to the current $10.10. It's why I spearheaded the effort to ensure earned paid sick leave here in the state of Maryland. And it's why I've consistently supported a $15 minimum wage for all Maryland residents. A statewide $15 minimum wage is the right thing to do for our hardworking Maryland families. And this bill provides a responsible path to get to that $15 minimum wage. More than 20% of the American workforce lives in states that have a $15 an hour minimum wage. And while the naysayers may tell you that increasing the wage is a job killer, decades of data just don't justify that. So we know that raising the minimum wage is good for workers, it's good for families, it's good for our communities, and it's good for Maryland. And so I'm thrilled to be joined by all of our advocates and our leaders here today to do just that. With that said, I will turn things over to County Executive Elrich from Montgomery County.
So I'm really happy to be here with my colleagues, other county executives, with the folks from SEIU and the other unions out there. Raising the minimum wage is absolutely critically important. Montgomery County started down this path, I guess it must have been in 2012 or something, and we raised the wage gradually to $11.50. And then again, last year, we made the decision we were going to take the wage up to $15. So we're going to hit 15 for most businesses by 2021 and for all businesses by 2024. We believe that this is actually going to work. We were greeted the first time we tried raising minimum wage with a chorus of people who said we were going to lose jobs and this was going to be bad for Montgomery County. So what happened in Montgomery County? Unemployment went down every year. More people went to work every year. Families were better able to meet their needs every year. And we went ahead and made the second increase because we understand and we've seen for our own eyes that raising the minimum wage works. It's not an economic impediment, it's actually an economic advantage. I was a school teacher for 17 years. I taught in a high poverty school. I watched kids come to school hungry every day. I saw families unable to meet basic needs. And I knew that the students that I was teaching, that when their parents were stressed over whether or not they were going to be able to keep their apartment, whether they were going to meet their bills, whether they could take their kid to a doctor, when those were the stresses that the parents were under, those stresses got passed on to the children. And when children start worrying about where they're going to sleep, when they're going to eat, can they go to a doctor? Are they going to have to take a whole family trip to an emergency room because that's the only way they can get health care? Those kids don't come to school ready to learn. It is hard enough dealing with the normal problems of everyday life. To have a kid having to try to deal with adult problems just doesn't work. We need to make sure that everybody who works gets a decent wage. This is not about whether it's worth $15 to flip a hamburger. It's about whether if you put a human being to work, should they make enough money to put a roof over their head and meet their basic needs. We need to get this done. We're going to get this done, and it's going to be good for all of Marylanders. We're actually going to prosper more. People need to remember, you put money in the hands of working people, they're going to turn around and go to the local grocery store, the local clothing store. They're going to spend that money back in the community. Every dime that is earned in Maryland goes back into the Maryland economy. This is a good thing. I'm proud to be here and proud that we've got a legislature that can get this done. Thank you.
So, Stuart Pittman, Anne Arundel County Executive, and I'm also pleased to be here with my colleagues, having county executives in Central Maryland who care about the people in our counties and work together is very important. A lot of people think Anne Arundel County is a pretty wealthy county. Our median income is up there in the 90,000s, and our economy is good and business is booming. But I keep getting reports like this one here. Poverty amidst plenty in Anne Arundel County. We're doing an update of this right now, and the numbers don't look good. The numbers of people above $200,000 in income are growing, and the people in poverty, those numbers are also growing. They say a third of the residents of our county cannot afford the basic necessities of life. During the government shutdown, we found out just how many people were living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm just tired of hearing these reports that show that the folks at the bottom are just not getting up to the middle. So we were told by the president and many in Congress that if we gave a windfall to the corporations that are the employers with a corporate tax cut, a huge corporate tax cut, that would show up in people's paychecks. And it did not, and it certainly did not show up in the people's paychecks at the bottom end of the economic scale. So it's time to take that windfall and put it to work for the working people of our counties and of our state, and give them a chance to get up into the middle class. And it's going to be good for our economy. It's going to be good for our economy at all levels. I understand that there are small businesses who will have to make some changes, and if they all come up at the same time, they'll be able to manage those changes. $1 a year is only about a 10% increase per year. It'll be less each year, and it's going to help our economies overall. And by doing it all together, not county by county, one at a time, and doing it gradually, it's going to be smooth. It's going to be good for all, and I hope this passes in the Maryland legislature this year.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ricard Jones. I'm with 1199 SEIU. I'm also the chair for the Fight for 15 Coalition. Some of our coalition members are here today. Our coalition is a broad, diverse group that consists of community, faith, labor, and businesses, both small and large, who are all committed to working families in the state of Maryland. I'm so excited to be here today with our county executives and the mayor of Baltimore, who are standing in support of such an important issue. It's very inspiring to see this group of leaders coming together to build the economic health of residents. I want to thank you all for your commitment to our communities and to ensuring that we pass a clean $15 minimum wage bill. What do I mean when I say clean? Clean 15, it's a bill that covers the most workers. It's indexed to inflation to keep pace with the cost of living. It also includes one fair wage for all workers, including tip workers, who are mostly women and women of color, who don't know how much their paychecks are going to be from week to week, and endure some of the highest rates of poverty and sexual harassment. A Clean 15 is a bill that covers workers from Eastern Shore to Western Maryland and allows local jurisdictions to maintain their ability to legislate on wage and benefit issues in the future. I'm confident that with the support of 70% of Marylanders and the county executives and the mayors and the members of the General Assembly, that we can and we will pass a strong bill, a bill that not only makes common sense, but makes dollars and cents. So we're going to put more money into the hands of workers who in turn spend it at local businesses and help boost our economy. So again, I just want to applaud all of your principled action, your dedication to your communities, and advocacy for fair wages for hard work. And just to say that this is only the beginning. Today is just the beginning. It's the start of a commitment to work together and a decision to see it through to the end. Together, we'll ensure that we just don't pass a $15 minimum wage bill, but we pass true, meaningful legislation that will benefit most workers and uplift over 600,000 working families throughout our state. Thank you.
I guess we'll take some questions if there are questions.
Governor Hogan this morning said it's not a yes or no answer to the question whether he will support a $15 minimum wage. He says it's going to lead to intelligent discussion. If the governor's on board, his party will become on board. So do you have a strategy to talk with him, and what is that?
I think what you're going to see is all of the members here certainly are willing to have a conversation with the governor on this. We're also willing to testify on behalf of this bill. And I think the fact that we represent the largest counties in the state says a lot about not only our support, but our desire to work together. And, I think that what we've learned over the years is when we work together, it really is in the best interest of all citizens. And I think with the advocates that we have working with us, SEIU and ASCME and CASA and all the other groups, I think everybody's willing to sit down at the table and have a real conversation about this. But I think what we're saying here today is that this is absolutely the direction that the state ought to be going in. It is absolutely the direction that is needed for the poverty that exists in all of our counties throughout the state.
If you don't mind, I would just add to that it's not only a question of what our strategy is to convince the governor, it's the strategy of the people in the unions, in CASA Maryland, and all of the working people of this state. What their strategy is to talk to the governor, and the governor is going to be listening to them as well. He represents everybody in the state, and we hope he'll listen to the people of the state.
Have any of you heard from business owners who've said, listen, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to have to cut back my workforce. Have you heard complaints from business owners in your respective counties and the city mayor?
We actually have experience having, we did the first one and we went up higher than the state did initially. We heard a lot of this before we passed the legislation, but when we examined what happened over the first 4 years and we went up to 1150, all the things that they were worried about didn't actually come to pass. I mean, the truth is that when everybody raises the wage together, whether it's in a county or a state, you keep a level playing field. And the things people most worried about were, if I have to raise mine and somebody else doesn't have to raise theirs, then am I going to be at a competitive disadvantage? And what most businesses found, and these are only in a small sector of the economy, it's not everything in the economy, most businesses found that if everybody was raising their prices together to match the wages, that it actually worked. They didn't fall prey to, to an unfair competitive environment. So I think it's going to be okay.
are you worried that it could get watered down? Some businesses may be left out of it. If you have so many employees, or certain types of businesses may not have to adhere by the $15 an hour? Is that a concern?
We're supporting the legislation, so we want the legislation to take its course. We've got advocates who are supporting, so we see the bill moving forward. Okay.
Speaking of leveling the playing field, the governor mentioned that Virginia has a minimum wage in the $7 range, and he thinks that maybe Maryland businesses, if it goes up to 15, will move elsewhere. What do you all say to that?
Well, they got all kinds of stuff.
I mean, you know, Montgomery County, most of our jurisdictions are trying to bring in high-quality jobs, high-paying jobs, so residents can actually support themselves and sustain themselves. I'm not worried about losing jobs to pay $7.50 to Virginia. And, you know, you're going to pick up your McDonald's and move your McDonald's to Virginia. But when you look at the sectors that are affected, it's not the general economy. It's really concentrated around fast food. It's in hospitality workers. Are they going to close? If people want to be in Bethesda for a hotel, they're not going to go to a hotel in Virginia. You're not going to shut down hotels in Maryland to go to Virginia. I think it's unrealistic. It's really, most businesses pay more than 15. Target is going to 15. Walmart is going to 15. Costco is going above 15. So already the small businesses are finding the pressure from the businesses to recognize they've got to pay a decent wage. What I hear from businesses that more and more they're paying more than the minimum wage because they can't get workers at the minimum wage because already competition is eating up those jobs. So I think it's going to happen and everybody's going to survive.
Question on another topic?
Well, go ahead, Pam.
Also related to counties, there's a big debate here today in Indianapolis over school start of the calendar year and who should make, I want to know what each of you think, who should make the decision of when school should start?
Local school boards.
Let me first say, I was going to piggyback on Mark's point earlier, though, about the human element of this $15 an hour question. We also see what happens when people aren't earning those fair wages. And no one, just like we felt and dealt with the federal shutdown, we see what happens when people are working full-time and can't meet their basic needs. I think County Executive Pittman raised that in the report out there. So there's a real imperative, especially for local government, to have workers that actually who are giving to the economy full-time can actually be self-supporting and sustained in their work. So there's a values piece to it, too. As it relates to the school start, former educator, and I'm a big proponent. I actually personally like the start after, but it should be the decision of the local school board to make.
Okay, we have time for one more question. We need to get out of
You
here.
appear to be at odds with the State Chamber of Commerce on this, though. So what is your response to that?
Oh, really? Good luck, Steve.
Yeah, well, I think that they need to look at the numbers, but
The polls are in, 7%.
well, the public as well. But I was at a chamber breakfast where a senator stood up, and he used this issue to get support from the chamber by painting a scenario of doomsday if we got to 15. And I think that people are using this issue politically.Maybe they're hoping to get a lot of campaign contributions out of the business folks by saying that they're going to support them on this. In Anne Arundel County Medical Center just came out and raised all of their workers, or they're about to raise all of their workers to $15 minimum wage. They're leading on this. They have a lot of workers that are paid less than 15. I think that the chambers of commerce are going to come around. They have to. They represent their members, and their members are coming around.
Mr. Executive, what's your thought about the local choosing the school start times?
Oh, I also think it should be local decision.
Well, why is that?
We have elected school boards now starting in our county. We're halfway through. The parents come to the school board and they talk about these issues, and they want responses locally, and I just don't think there's a reason not to have local decisions on it. So it's just basic democracy.
Thank you.
Thank you all.